Life with a fox girl, she's still learning human etiquette. Carter had always believed his life was quiet by design. He worked long hours maintaining orbital traffic systems for Earth's largest space elevator, came home to a small apartment overlooking the city lights, and spent his evenings fixing old electronics or reading archived history files. After humanity joined the interstellar Concorde, life had grown safer, more orderly, and strangely smaller. The galaxy was vast, but humans were expected to stay polite, predictable, and mostly invisible. That was why the message on his console surprised him. It informed him that his apartment had been selected for a cultural exchange residence. He reread the words 3 times, hoping he had misunderstood. The interstellar Concorde rarely involved private citizens. Exchanges usually happened in controlled facilities with diplomats and researchers, not engineers who forgot to water their plants. The notice did not ask for permission. It thanked him for his cooperation. Eli sighed and leaned back in his chair. Refusing would require paperwork, interviews, and weeks of scrutiny. Accepting would be simpler. Humanity had built its reputation on cooperation. He would do his part, even if it meant sharing his quiet space with an alien. 2 days later, the shuttle arrived. Eli stood outside his building, hands in his jacket pockets, watching the sky darken as a small diplomatic craft descended silently between towers. The crowd nearby whispered, phones raised, but no one crossed the marked line. Humans were very good at following lines. The hatch opened, and a figure stepped out. She was smaller than Eli expected, maybe a little shorter than him, with soft white hair that fell past her shoulders. 2 fox-like ears rose from the top of her head, twitching slightly as she looked around. A long, pale tail swayed behind her with slow, deliberate movements. Her eyes were gold, sharp and curious, missing nothing. This was Kira of the Velrics. The Velrics were classified as socially assertive, biologically expressive. In simpler terms, they acted on instinct and did not hide it. The Concorde considered them friendly, but difficult. Humans were considered the opposite. Kira inhaled deeply, her ears lifting. "This place smells." "Layered," she said, her voice clear and direct. "Many lives. Many routines." Eli blinked. Welcome to Earth." She turned to face him fully, eyes narrowing in focus. She took 2 steps closer than what Eli considered comfortable, then stopped, studying him from head to toe. "You are the assigned human," she said. "Yes. Eli Carter." She nodded once. "I am Kira. I will be living with you." The words were not a question. Eli smiled politely, the kind of smile he had practiced his entire life. "Right, I guess we should get inside." Kira tilted her head. "You do not sound pleased?" "I am," Eli said quickly. "Just surprised." She seemed to accept that. She followed him into the building without waiting, tail brushing against his leg as she passed. Eli stiffened, but said nothing. Humans were taught not to react too strongly. Reactions led to misunderstandings. The elevator ride was silent, except for the soft hum of machinery and the faint movement of Kira's tail. She stood very close. Eli focused on the floor, numbers changing. "You are tense," she observed. "Am I?" "Yes. Your shoulders are raised. Your breathing is shallow." Eli let out a slow breath and forced himself to relax. "Sorry, just nervous." "Why?" "Well, this is new." She considered this. New things reveal true behavior. The elevator doors opened. Eli gestured toward the hallway. "This way." His apartment was small, but clean. Neutral colors. Nothing sharp or dangerous. He had removed anything that could be misinterpreted after reading the Concorde's safety guidelines. Kira stepped inside and immediately walked the full perimeter, touching walls, sniffing the air, opening doors without asking. Eli followed a few steps behind. "If you need anything, just tell me." She paused in the bedroom doorway. "This is where you rest." "Yes." "And that room?" She pointed to the smaller space near the window. "That can be yours." She nodded, satisfied. Then she turned and walked straight up to him, stopping inches away. Before Eli could react, she lifted a hand and placed it flat against his chest. His heart skipped. "You are calm beneath the surface," she said. Controlled, Eli swallowed. Most humans are. She smiled, showing a hint of sharp teeth. Interesting. She withdrew her hand and moved away, leaving Eli frozen for a moment. He reminded himself that she meant no harm. The Velrics were tactile. The guidelines had mentioned that. Still, knowing something in theory did not make it easier in reality. That night, Kira sat on the couch while Eli prepared food in the kitchen. She watched him closely, ears turning with every sound. "You prepare nourishment without ritual," she said. "It's just dinner. You trust the process." Yes, she considered that. On Velric's worlds, shared meals establish hierarchy. Eli nearly dropped the pan. Hierarchy. Yes, provider and receiver. Eli laughed softly, trying to keep things light. Here, it's just sharing. She watched him longer, eyes thoughtful. Your people hide meaning in simple acts. Dinner passed with minimal trouble, though Kira ate far faster than Eli and stared at him the entire time. When he finished, he stood to clear the table. She reached out and grabbed his wrist. Eli froze. "Is something wrong? You did not finish your food." "I'm full," she frowned. "You reject nourishment?" I accepted. "No, I liked it. You challenged my role," she said calmly. Eli gently pulled his hand back. "Kira, there's no role." I wasn't offended. "I promise." She stared at him for several long seconds. Then she leaned back, tail flicking once. Human language is exhausting. Eli smiled again, patient as ever. "You'll get used to it." Over the following days, Kira learned quickly, but not smoothly. She spoke her thoughts aloud without filter. She stood too close to strangers. She watched people far too intensely. More than once, Eli had to explain that staring was considered rude. "Why?" she asked. "Because it makes people uncomfortable. But discomfort reveals truth." Sometimes, Eli said, "We don't want truth all the time." It's puzzled her deeply. From the observation stations above Earth, galactic analysts monitored everything. The exchange was meant to test human tolerance. Many species failed when instincts clashed. The Velrics had caused incidents before. The analysts expected reports of tension, maybe even fear. Instead, they saw something else. Every time Kira crossed a boundary, Eli explained calmly, he never raised his voice, never threatened, never retreated either. He held his ground with words alone. To the galaxy, it was unsettling. On the 7th day, a delivery drone malfunctioned in the hallway, sparks flying. Kira reacted instantly, stepping in front of Eli. Muscles tense, eyes sharp. Her instinct screamed danger. Eli gently placed a hand on her arm. "It's okay. I've got it." He approached the drone, disabled it with a practiced motion, and called for maintenance. No panic. No fear. Kira watched him closely. "You are fragile," she said later. "But you do not act like prey." Eli shrugged. "We learned not to." That night, Kira lay awake in her room, tail curled around her legs, replaying everything she had seen. Humans smiled when nervous, apologized when wrong, explained instead of attacked. They held back not because they had to, but because they chose to. For the first time, Kira wondered what humans were like before they learned such control. And for the first time, the galaxy wondered the same. The next week changed the rhythm of the apartment in quiet but important ways. Kira did not stop making mistakes, but she began to pause before acting. She watched Eli more closely now, not as a subject of curiosity, but as a reference. When he hesitated, she hesitated. When he spoke calmly, she tried to match his tone, though it often came out too direct. Eli noticed the effort. He did not comment on it. Praise, he had learned, sometimes made things harder. One morning, Kira followed Eli outside for the first time without official escort. The Concorde allowed limited freedom once initial safety checks were complete. Eli was heading to a local market before work, a small place filled with people who knew each other by habit more than by name, as they walked. Kira stayed half a step behind him, eyes constantly moving. The city was loud to her. Too many scents, too many signals. Humans brushed past without acknowledging each other, their faces neutral, their bodies relaxed. To Kira, it looked like a crowd of predators pretending they were not predators. "Why do they ignore you?" she asked suddenly. "They're not ignoring me," Eli said. "They're just giving space. Space is territory. Not always." A woman passed them and smiled politely at Eli. Kira stopped walking. She exposed her teeth. Kira said, "That's a smile? Is she challenging you?" "No," Eli said, suppressing a laugh. "She's being friendly." Kira watched the woman disappear into the crowd. "Your friendliness is confusing." The market was small and crowded. Eli moved carefully, choosing items, greeting the owner with a nod. Kira stood close, far closer than Eli realized, until the owner's eyes flicked to her ears and tail, then back to Eli with clear discomfort. Eli noticed immediately. "Sorry," he said, stepping slightly to the side, creating space Kira did not understand at first. She stepped closer again, filling the gap. The owner stiffened. Eli gently touched Kira's arm. "Personal space," he whispered. She froze, then slowly stepped back. The tension eased at once. Outside, Kira looked unsettled. "I failed." "You learned," Eli corrected. "That's better." She considered that, on Velric's worlds, mistakes are punished. "Here," Eli said, "we usually explain first." That night, Kira tried to apply what she had learned, too forcefully. When Eli returned from work, he found her standing in the living room, posture stiff, hands clasped behind her back. "Welcome home, Eli Carter," she said carefully. "I hope your day was acceptable." He blinked. It was fine." "You don't need to do that." Her ears drooped slightly. "You do not want politeness?" "I do," he said quickly. "Just natural politeness." She stared at him. "Define natural." Eli opened his mouth, then closed it. "Okay, fair point." They tried again. Kira relaxed her stance, tail swaying. "Welcome home," Eli smiled. "Perfect." Later, while Eli repaired an old handheld device, Kira sat on the floor nearby, watching his hands move. "Why do you fix broken things?" she asked. "They can be replaced," Eli shrugged. "Because they still work. They just need care." She was quiet for a long moment. "Velrics discard what no longer serves. Humans used to," Eli said. "We learned that waste has consequences." She tilted her head. "Everything you say sounds like a lesson learned the hard way." Eli did not answer. The first real problem came 3 days later. They were on public transit when a large alien from a species called the Hrax boarded. The Hrax were tall, armored, and openly dismissive of humans. The Concord tolerated them because they were useful. The Hrax glanced at Eli, then at Kira, and laughed. "You keep pets now?" the Hrax said, voice loud enough for the whole car. Kira's ears flattened instantly. Her muscles tensed. Eli felt it beside him like a sudden drop in temperature. "That is not correct," Kira said, stepping forward. Eli moved at the same time, placing himself slightly in front of her. "She's with me," he said calmly. "Please mind your language." The Hrax leaned closer, towering over Eli. "Or what?" The car went quiet. Kira's instincts screamed. This was threat. This was dominance. On her world, the response would be immediate and final. Eli did nothing aggressive. He simply met the Hrax's gaze. "Or nothing," Eli said. "But everyone here will remember how you behaved." The Hrax hesitated. The silence stretched. Other passengers watched, recorded, witnessed. With a dismissive snort, the Hrax turned away. When the doors opened at the next stop, Kira stepped out quickly, breathing hard. Eli followed. "I should have acted," she said, voice low. "You were challenged." "And you saw how it ended," Eli said. She turned to him. "You were not afraid."
I was.
He said honestly. "I just didn't let it decide my actions." That night, Kira could not sleep. She replayed the moment again and again. The Hrax had backed down without force, without threat. just pressure from rules and watching eyes. Control, she realized, did not always roar. From orbit, the observers flagged the incident. Velric's reaction, restrained. Human reaction, effective. The analysts adjusted their models, growing uneasy. 2 days later, Kira received a private message from Velric's leadership. They were displeased. Your reports are incomplete, the message said. You describe humans as calm, but your data lacks proof of dominance structures. Kira stared at the screen. She thought of Eli fixing broken machines, of him stepping between her and danger without aggression, of how humans followed rules they created themselves. What if dominance is not external? She typed back. The response was immediate. Clarify, she hesitated, then closed the message without sending more. That evening, Eli noticed she was quieter than usual. Everything okay? He asked. She hesitated. My people expect me to define you, and you can't. I can, she said slowly, but they will not like the answer. Eli smiled faintly. Welcome to human experience. Later that night, the building's alarm sounded. A power surge. Emergency lights flickered on. Kira was on her feet instantly alert. Eli moved just as quickly, grabbing a flashlight and checking the console. Stay here, he said. No, she replied. I protect my pack. Eli paused, then nodded. Okay, together. They moved into the hallway, finding neighbors confused and worried. Eli took charge without raising his voice, directing people calmly. Kira stood beside him, not threatening, just present. Her stillness alone kept panic from spreading. When maintenance arrived and power was restored, the hallway slowly returned to normal. As they walked back inside, Kira spoke quietly. I think I understand something now. What's that? Human etiquette is not about hiding strength, she said. It is about deciding when not to use it. Eli looked at her, surprised. She met his gaze. You are dangerous, she said simply, because you choose not to be. Above the planet, the observers marked another note. Human behavior remained consistent. And that consistency was becoming alarming. Kira began to notice patterns she had missed before. Not just in Eli, but in humans as a whole. The more time she spent among them, the more she realized that their calm was not empty. It was layered, shaped by long memory and constant choice. The next stage of the exchange program required her to observe humans in group settings without Eli guiding every interaction. The Concord believed independence would reveal true behavior. Kira believed the same, though for different reasons. Eli walked her to the transit station that morning. You'll be okay, he said. Just observe. You don't have to perform. I do not know how not to perform, she replied. He smiled. Then just be honest, politely. She nodded, committing the words to memory. The gathering was held at a shared learning center, a place where humans and aliens attended workshops together. The room was open and bright, filled with chairs arranged in circles instead of rows. That alone confused Kira. Circles had no front, no back. No obvious leader. Humans filled the space slowly, greeting each other with small words and softer smiles. Some waved. Some nodded. No one stared. Kira chose a seat near the edge. She folded her tail close, reminding herself of personal space. A human woman sat beside her and spoke gently. Hi, first time here? Kira paused, recalling Eli's lessons. Yes, I am. New, the woman smiled. Welcome, no challenge, no threat. Just acceptance. As the session began, a facilitator asked the group to discuss conflict resolution. One by one, humans spoke about listening, compromise, and boundaries. Kira felt uneasy. On Velric's worlds, conflict was proof of strength. Here, it was something to be managed. Even softened, then the facilitator asked if any non-human participants wanted to share their perspective. The room turned toward Kira. Every instinct told her this was a test. She stood slowly. On my world, conflict ends quickly, she said. One side dominates. The other adapts or is removed. The room was silent but not hostile, and here, The facilitator asked. Kira thought of Eli, of the racks, of the hallway during the blackout. Here, she said carefully, conflict is delayed, contained, studied. Humans do not end it fast. They live with it until it changes. Some nodded. Some looked thoughtful. After the session, several humans approached her with questions. Respectful ones. Curious ones. None crossed her boundaries by the time she returned home. Her mind was heavy. That evening, Eli was not there. The apartment felt wrong without him. Too quiet. Too exposed. Kira checked the time. He should have been home. Then the door opened. Eli stepped inside slowly, his jacket torn, a bruise darkening his cheek. Kira was on her feet instantly. What happened? He waved it off. Nothing serious. That is not nothing. He hesitated, then sighed. There was a protest near the transit hub. Anti-Concord group. Things got tense. Her ears flattened. You were harmed. Not badly, he said. Security handled it. She stepped closer, eyes sharp. Did you fight? No. Her confusion deepened. Why not? Because fighting would have made it worse, he said simply. She did not understand. You were attacked, yes, and you chose not to respond. I chose to respond differently. Kira felt something twist inside her. On Velric's worlds, that choice would be seen as weakness. She reached out before thinking and gently touched the bruise on his face. You are injured because of restraint, she said. Maybe Eli replied. But others weren't injured because of restraint too. She withdrew her hands slowly. That night, Kira accessed deeper human archives. Not the polished histories, but the raw ones. Wars, collapses, cities burning, billions lost. She saw what happened when humans did not restrain themselves. She understood then that etiquette was not culture. It was survival. The next day, something changed. Kira stopped reacting first. She observed longer. When startled, she breathed instead of tensing. When confused, she asked instead of assuming. Humans noticed. One afternoon, while Eli was at work, Kira was approached by two Concord officials. They requested a private evaluation. The room was sterile, neutral. You have spent considerable time with your assigned human, one official said. Do you believe this proximity has altered your objectivity? Kira answered carefully. Yes. The officials exchanged looks. That is concerning, or informative, she said. They asked about Eli, about humans. About restraint, Kira did not exaggerate. She did not soften the truth either. Humans are not passive, she said. They are compressed. The officials frowned. Explain. They apply pressure inward, she continued. Rules, manners, etiquette. These are not social games. They are locks. Locks on what? Kira's tail tightened around her leg. On themselves. The room went quiet. That evening, Eli found her waiting, tense. They questioned me, she said. He nodded. I figured they would. They want certainty. About us? About you. Eli sighed and sat down. They won't get it. Kira looked at him. You know this. Yeah, he said. Humans don't fit clean boxes. She stepped closer. Do you ever fear losing control? Eli looked up at her, surprised by the question. He thought for a long moment. Yes, he said. That's why we build systems. So we don't have to rely on willpower alone. No. She absorbed that in silence. The real test came sooner than expected. A Velric's delegation arrived unannounced, demanding to inspect Kira's living conditions. They arrived with authority and expectation. They did not like what they saw. This environment weakens you, the Velric's leader said. You defer. You hesitate. Kira stood straight. I learn. The leader's gaze shifted to Eli. You have altered her. Eli remained calm. She chose to learn. That is not your decision, the Velric snapped. Before Kira could react, Eli spoke again, voice steady. It actually is, he said. Under Concord law, She has autonomy. The Velric's leader bristled. You challenge us? No, Eli said. I state facts. The tension was thick. Kira felt every instinct scream for action. She did nothing. She watched. Human security arrived quietly. Paperwork followed. Laws were cited. The Velric's delegation was forced to withdraw, frustrated and contained. No violence. No dominance display. Just structure. When the door finally closed, Kira exhaled slowly. I wanted to fight, she admitted. I know, Eli said. But I didn't, he smiled softly. You chose the harder path. She looked at him, ears lifting slightly. Is that what being human is? Eli considered. It's part of it. That night, Kira recorded her report. Humans are not peaceful by nature, she said into the recorder. They are restrained by design. Their etiquette is a system built to protect others from what they could become. And perhaps, she added, to protect themselves. Far above Earth, the report was reviewed. The conclusion unsettled the council. If restraint failed, no one finished that thought aloud. On Earth, in a small apartment, Eli slept peacefully. Kira sat nearby, tail curled, watching over him, not as a guard. But as a student who finally understood the lesson was not over, the city felt different after the Velric's delegation left. Not louder, not quieter, just heavier. Kira sensed it in the way people walked a little faster in the halls and checked their messages more often. Humans did not show fear the way other species did. They buried it under routine. Kira stayed close to Eli in the days that followed, not because she was ordered to, but because she wanted to observe how humans behaved when pressure increased. The answer surprised her. They became more polite. Eli thanked service drones that did not need thanks. Neighbors smiled more carefully. Conversations became softer, clearer, almost rehearsed. To Kira, it looked like a species tightening invisible threads to keep itself together. You are preparing, she said one evening, as Eli organized emergency supplies in a quiet, methodical way. For what? He asked. For conflict, she replied. He shook his head. No, for uncertainty. To Kira, those were the same thing. The Concord announced a temporary review of human-alien exchange programs. It was framed as routine, but everyone understood the meaning. The galaxy was nervous. Kira received another message from her homeworld. This one was colder. You have exceeded observational parameters, it read. Return for reassessment. Kira stared at the screen for a long time. When Eli came home, she told him. Oh, he said quietly. You are not surprised. I am, he said. Just not shocked. She watched his face closely. They may force the issue. Eli nodded. Then we'll follow the process. Even if the process is unfair? He met her gaze. Especially then. Kira did not understand how he could sound so calm. The following day, a public forum was held by the Concord. Representatives from multiple species attended, including Velric's observers and human delegates. Kira was asked to speak. The hall was vast. Transparent walls showed Earth turning slowly outside. Kira stood at the center, tail tucked close, ears alert. The questions came fast. Do humans influence your behavior? Yes, she said. Have you adopted human restraint? Yes. Do you believe humans suppress their true nature? Kira paused. Yes, she said again. By choice. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. A delegate from a militant species leaned forward. What happens if that choice is removed? Kira thought of the archive she had seen. Of Eli's bruise. Of his steady voice in the face of threat. Then, she said slowly, the galaxy would regret asking. Silence followed. The forum ended early. That night, protests erupted near Concord facilities. Not violent ones. Organized ones. Humans gathered in calm lines, holding signs, speaking in measured tones. They demanded transparency, rights, and respect for autonomy. Kira stood beside Eli, watching. They are angry, she said. Yes, Eli replied. They do not look angry. That's intentional. A group of off-world security forces watched from a distance, clearly uneasy. They were trained for riots, not calm refusal. One officer approached Eli. "You need to disperse." Eli nodded. "Under which statute?" The officer hesitated. More humans stepped closer. Not aggressive, just present. The pressure built without sound. The officer backed away. Kira's heart raced. This was dominance, she realized. Just not the kind she was raised to understand. Later that week, the Concord issued a ruling. Kira would be allowed to remain on Earth temporarily under review. Eli would remain her cohabitation partner. Velric's leadership was furious. A final message came through, sharp and clear. "You risk cultural dilution." Kira typed her response carefully. "Humans are not diluting me," she wrote. "They are refining me." The reply never came. Days passed. Tension remained, but no escalation followed. The galaxy waited for humans to break, to lash out, to prove the fear justified. They did not. Instead, humans adjusted laws, strengthened oversight, and opened more forums. They argued endlessly, loudly at times, but always within the structure they trusted. Kira watched it all. One night, she asked Eli a question that had been growing inside her. "If your systems failed," she said, "if your rules disappeared, what would you become?" Eli was quiet for a long time. "Something worse," he said honestly, "or something better. That's why the rules matter." She nodded slowly. Another message arrived, this one from the Concord itself. They requested Kira's final assessment. Not a report, but a recommendation. She sat at the desk for hours, tail wrapped tight, words forming and dissolving. Finally, she recorded her answer. "Human etiquette is not decoration," she said. "It is armor turned inward. It limits harm not because humans lack power, but because they understand it too well. Treat them as fragile, and they will endure. Treat them as monsters, and you will teach them to stop pretending they are not." She ended the recording with a simple statement. Coexistence is safest when humans are allowed to remain human. When she finished, she felt something lift from her chest. Eli found her sitting quietly afterward. "How did it go?" he asked. "I told the truth," she said. He smiled. "That's all we ever ask." That night, Kira dreamed of her homeworld. Of sharp rules and faster judgments. For the first time, it felt distant. In the morning, sunlight filled the apartment. Eli made breakfast. Kira helped, carefully this time, asking before touching, waiting for cues. "You're doing great," Eli said. She flicked an ear. "I am still learning," he nodded. "So are we." Above Earth, the Concord reviewed Kira's assessment. Some argued caution. Some argued control. A few argued respect. No final decision was made. For now, humanity remained what it had always been. Patient, watching, waiting. The decision arrived on a quiet morning, without ceremony or warning. Kira felt it before she read it. The apartment was still, sunlight resting gently on the floor, Eli moving around the kitchen, as he always did. Normal sounds. Normal rhythm. Humans valued that more than most things. Her console chimed once. She did not open it right away. Eli noticed. "That sounds official." "It is," Kira said softly. She finally looked. The Concord's message was short, carefully written and heavy with meaning. The exchange program between humans and the Velrics would continue. Not expanded. Not canceled, continued. Kira would remain on Earth by choice, not obligation. Her status would change from observer to resident student of human culture. Eli let out a slow breath. "That's good, right?" "Yes," she said. "Very, but there was more." The final paragraph stated that Kira's report would be archived as a reference document. Required reading for all future first contact evaluations involving humanity. Eli frowned. "That sounds serious." "It is," Kira replied. "They are warning the galaxy." Eli smiled faintly. "About what?" She looked at him. "About you?" Life did not change suddenly after that. Humans rarely changed suddenly. They preferred slow shifts that felt like nothing at first. Kira continued her studies. She attended human classes, volunteered in shared communities, learned humor she still did not fully understand. She still made mistakes. She still spoke too directly sometimes. But now, humans corrected her gently, without fear. She had become familiar. Eli returned to his quiet routines. Work, repairs, long walks through the city. Sometimes Kira joined him, sometimes she did not. She was learning something important. Humans valued choice, even in companionship. One afternoon, while sitting in a public park, Kira observed children playing. Human children ran in chaotic patterns, shouting, falling, laughing. Adults watched calmly, trusting invisible rules. They allow weakness, Kira said. Eli nodded. It's how we learn. On my world, she said, learning often hurts. It does here too, he said. We just try not to make it permanent. That evening, Kira received a message from a young Velrix. A student, curious, afraid. Are the humans dangerous? The message asked. Kira thought carefully before replying. Yes, she wrote. But not in the way you think, she explained restraint. Choice. Systems. She did not exaggerate. She did not comfort. The Velrix replied hours later. I want to learn, they said. Kira smiled for the first time that day. The galaxy reacted slowly to the Concorde's internal shift. Some species withdrew. Some adjusted trade rules. A few increased military readiness around human borders. Humans noticed. They responded by doing what they always did. They talked. Forums multiplied. Diplomatic channels stayed open. Laws were reviewed. Mistakes were argued over loudly, publicly, endlessly. To the galaxy, it looked inefficient. To Kira, it looked strong. One night, a small incident tested everything. A Concorde patrol vessel entered Earth space without full clearance, citing security concerns. It was not an attack. Not yet. Just pressure. Human authorities responded calmly. They requested explanation, documentation, time. The vessel waited. Nothing happened. Hours passed. Finally, the patrol withdrew. No weapons raised. No threats issued. Kira watched the news feed quietly. They wanted to see if you would react, she said. Eli nodded. Probably, and you didn't. We did, he said. Just not loudly. She understood that now. Weeks later, Kira was invited to speak again before the Concorde. This time, not as an observer, but as an example. She stood in the same chamber, Earth turning slowly behind her. What is your final conclusion? A delegate asked. Kira did not hesitate. Humans are not peaceful, she said. They are practiced. Murmurs spread. They learned restraint through failure, she continued. They built etiquette not to impress others, but to survive themselves. Remove their systems, and you will meet what they protect you from. A delegate asked, do you trust them? Kira thought of Eli, fixing broken things instead of replacing them. Yes, she said. Because they do not trust themselves without rules. The answer unsettled many, but it convinced enough. When she returned home, Eli was waiting, sitting on the couch with a familiar calm. How'd it go? He asked. I think, Kira said slowly, the galaxy has decided not to poke the cage. Eli smiled. Good. She sat beside him, careful of space, respectful of silence. I have one more question, she said. Go ahead. Why did you agree to this exchange? You could have refused, Eli considered. Because someone had to show up? Show up how? As ourselves, he said. Not as stories, Kira nodded. You did. In the months that followed, small changes rippled outward. More aliens requested cultural study placements with humans, not soldiers, not leaders. Ordinary citizens, they wanted to learn etiquette. Kira helped teach them. She explained personal space, tone, patience. She explained why humans said sorry even when not wrong. Why they waited their turn, why they lowered their voices instead of raising them. She explained that manners were not weakness. They were restraint made visible. One evening, as the city lights flickered on, Kira stood by the window, tail swaying gently. "I am no longer only Velrix," she said quietly. Eli looked up. "That okay?" "Yes," she replied. "I am still myself, just expanded." He nodded. "That's usually how it goes." Far above Earth, the Concord updated its classifications. Humanity, not aggressive. Humanity, not passive. Humanity, self-restrained. A final note was added beneath. "Handle with respect." Back in the apartment, Eli handed Kira a cup of tea. She accepted it carefully, the way humans did. Hands steady. "Thank you," she said. He smiled. "You're welcome," life went on. Quietly, and the galaxy watched, not with fear now, but with something new. Understanding. Because humanity had not changed itself to be accepted. It had simply remained human, and that, in the end, was enough.